The last year has been a roller coaster in the world of Xbox. After months of back and forth in court over the acquisition of Activision Blizzard, Microsoft and the Xbox team finally closed the deal and locked in an incredible catalog of some of the biggest names in gaming. After buying ZeniMax Media and the Bethesda family of studios a few years ago, it seemed like Xbox was stacking up a collection of legendary teams that would build out a catalog of must-have exclusives that could finally help Xbox compete on that same level as PlayStation. Over the last week, that future that seemed all but certain has been entirely thrown into question. Reports in January started circulating that Hi-Fi Rush and Sea of Thieves would come to PlayStation and Nintendo Switch, but the floodgates opened when Tom Warren at The Verge reported that Indiana Jones and the Great Circle, one of the biggest Xbox games of the year, could come to PlayStation a few months after its release on Xbox. But that was only the beginning. Throughout the week, we saw rumors and reports that Starfield, Gears of War, and Halo could all go multi-platform in what would be a monumental shift for Microsoft's strategy in the world of gaming. The reaction on social media was wild. The most extreme fans on both sides of the social media console war were going head-to-head. PlayStation fanboys claimed victory, and Xbox fanboys grappled at the idea of Microsoft seemingly throwing in the towel after more than 20 years of trying to compete with PlayStation. Things got so out of hand that we finally got official word from the head of Xbox himself, Phil Spencer, that a business update is coming this week to share more about the future of Xbox. This whole situation has thrown the future of the Xbox platform itself into question. Let's leave PCs out of the conversation and focus on the console space. If Xbox releases all of their games on PlayStation, then what's the point of owning an Xbox console? Up until this point, the value of every console has been defined by the console exclusives that they bring to the table. Fortnite, Call of Duty, NBA 2K, and more of those massive mainstream games are all available regardless of where you play. It's been the games like God of War on PlayStation or Halo on Xbox that make players pick their console of choice at the beginning of every generation. If Halo, or any of the other massive Xbox franchises, were available on PlayStation, would Xbox just stop making consoles entirely and become a third-party publisher like Ubisoft or Electronic Arts? Imagining a world where Xbox does go all in and abandons the idea of permanent Xbox console exclusives, there are two ways it could go: timed exclusives or day-and-date drops on all platforms at the same time. If they were to go with timed exclusives, bringing a game like Starfield to PlayStation a year after it launched on Xbox, the question becomes how long are people willing to wait to play Xbox games? If a PlayStation player is patient enough, they still don't need to buy an Xbox. But if the game is a must-have Game of the Year contender that everybody's talking about, then that might be enough to convince a PlayStation owner to go out and pick up an Xbox rather than having to wait for it to eventually come to the hardware they already own. Xbox now owns some of the biggest names in the business: Call of Duty, Diablo, The Elder Scrolls, Doom, Fallout. These are games that are going to sell millions of copies no matter where they're released. If all of these games launch on every console that they can, plenty of PlayStation and Nintendo players would happily pay $70 a piece to play on day one, bringing more revenue in for Microsoft. Let's say there's a packed year of releases with a new Forza, the next Doom game, a new Call of Duty, the next Halo, and Diablo 5. All likely contenders for what people would call must-play experiences. Combined, buying each of those games individually would cost $350 before tax, and that's assuming you're not interested in buying the battle passes some of those games have to offer. Sure, you could spend $350 to play those games on PlayStation, and Microsoft will happily take your money to do it, but you could also play those exact same games on Xbox with Xbox Game Pass for $17 a month or $204 a year. And that includes access to online features. If you want to play those 5 games online on PlayStation, you'll have to pay a PlayStation Plus subscription that's at least $120 a year for the Essentials plan. If Microsoft goes all in on a multi-platform publishing strategy, positioning Xbox as the most affordable console to play the industry's biggest games is a strong selling point during a time where making ends meet is more expensive than ever for a ton of people. As always, PC players are getting the best of both worlds. Sony is bringing games like Helldivers 2 to PC day and date and smashing Steam records in the process, while games like The Last of Us Part 2 launch on PC a few years after their debut on PlayStation. Meanwhile, Xbox continues to deliver value through day one first-party Xbox Game Pass drops and a steady stream of new content coming into the service every single month. For millions of people, the cost and complexity of getting into PC gaming is a turnoff compared to the affordability and ease of playing on a console. That's why console gaming is still popular. Microsoft already owned the OS that powers the majority of the world's computers, so their foothold in the PC gaming space will always be strong. But Microsoft staying in the console space gives players an easy way to access some of the industry's most popular games through Xbox Game Pass. Bringing their games to PlayStation and Nintendo not only generates more sales for games, but it also acts as an easy way to market the value that comes with Xbox and a Game Pass subscription. Even if a PlayStation player buys and plays Xbox games for a year, they could look at how much they've spent and say, why don't I get an Xbox? At first, the idea that Xbox could be bringing their games to PlayStation and Nintendo sounds like a sign their gaming business is in trouble. But on the flip side, it could be a sign that they're more confident than ever in the games that their first-party studios are working on. Create good games, drive sales on every platform, and grow Xbox Game Pass by delivering the best value in gaming. If that's the direction they choose to go, whether it's now or in the future, that could be a solid strategy. As always, I'd love to know what you think down below. Should Xbox bring their games to PlayStation and Nintendo, or should they stick with the traditional way the consoles have provided value in the past and double down on console exclusives? I'd love to know your thoughts. And if you're new here and you enjoy what you see or what you hear, hit that subscribe button to get videos like this every week and gaming news shorts throughout the week to keep you in the loop. But I'll catch you on the next one.